I'm your host, Tess Brigham. Let's make sense of this mess together. So, today on the Gen Mess, I am talking to someone who has spent over 25 years helping people step into their genius. Katrena Friel is a business mentor, international speaker, and award winning author who's guided thousands of leaders and entrepreneurs in building powerful personal brands and creating multiple streams of income. What makes Katrena different is that she blends strategy with soul. She's all about helping people tap into their purpose, their creativity, and that inner sparks, that spark that makes them them. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here, Katrena.
Hey, Tess, how are you? Oh my God,
Well, you
me
definitely,
too. I'm excited.
yeah, you definitely win the farthest guest, I think.
Ah,
Because are you?
Australia,
I'm sorry. I did have someone in Belgium, but this might be farther.
yeah, but
Um,
the Americans definitely, they see Australia is way over there on the other side of the world, and we're nicely tucked away over here, looking after your interests, I must say.
yes. I'm sure you are. I can't imagine what it's like to watch what's going on here at the US right now from another country. I can't
Yeah,
imagine what the thought is, but
it's
we're
hard
not
to
going to dig
watch.
into that
No,
today.
we ain't got time for that.
So tell me a bit about your backstory, right? How did you get started in this work? And what was the moment that this became, right? I've got to make these changes.
Well, I was working since I was 14. I just could not wait to earn money. We had no pocket money, so I was desperate, really desperate. So off I went to work at 14. I lied about my age and pretended I was 16. And in those days, we didn't have photo ID or anything. You could
Mm,
just pretend. Anywho, so everywhere I went, as soon as I got bored or I felt I'd mastered it, I would leave and get the next job and the next job and the next job and the next job. And so I was really seemed to be quite the ambitious little thing. And wherever I went, I kind of like got put into these difficult situations where I had to sort out some sort of mess or something. Now, looking back, all that hard work really made me quite strong and really good at strategically working things out myself. And
hmm
no one ever had the answers, so I used to have to work it out myself. And I'd always surprise and delight myself. I considered myself a high performing, self managing kind of employee, and they are the worst because they have places to go, they have options, they can go anywhere and get a job anywhere, and they're very hard to manage in the sense that they want to be left alone. They do
hmm
not want to be micromanaged. And if you micromanaged me, I'd be looking for a new job straight away. Like that pretty much was the ick factor for me.
Yeah.
And so if you just got out of my way and just let me do it, I would probably stay for a long time. Eventually, I sort of started to get better at picking the jobs,
hmm
um, because I'd earned my stripes. So I believe that at about 20, you know nothing. You
hmm
earn your first stripe between 20 and 25. You
hmm
earn your second stripe between 25 and 30. And you earn your third stripe between 30 and 35. Now, I believe you hit your peak, the beginning of your peak, let me be clear, at about 40. And then
hmm
you've got the rest of that sort of next 40 years to really build a legacy. You know what you like, you know what you don't like, you've got expertise, you're an expert in your game, you're a thought leader in your field of excellence, all those things. But what's sad about it is a lot of people don't realize that that's the time to do all that.
hmm Well, you share a story on your website about this very tough chapter where you had a miscarriage and then you were the
Yeah.
language you use is scammed.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that moment or that tell everyone a bit more about that
Yeah.
story,
Yeah. So that was my
but also
last.
sort of how this was a turning point for you.
Yeah, absolutely. This was my last job, my last
hmm
corporate job, and I had done 4 years there and had the best time, like really had some great opportunities. And randomly, I never wanted to have kids. So randomly I fell pregnant, and
mm
randomly I had a miscarriage, and it was, Charles and I, my husband and I, we've been married for 36 years, and of all the grief in our life, this was one of our big ones.
Yeah.
Again, randomly, because, you think you don't want to have kids, but when you're faced with the reality of it, you change at a cellular level. So
Yeah.
anywho, I think I was very weak at that time, and that's how it happened. I was looking one day at the paper, and there was this beautiful coloured ad, and this was I'd never seen a coloured ad before. This was very new. It sort of gives away my, the sort of time that it would have been around. But anyway, this coloured ad spoke to me. It felt like my name was written into the ad. That's how it felt. It was really calling to me. So I called, I had a meeting. The guy was a complete lunatic, but I didn't care. I just pressed on. He was insulting. He was the worst communicator. He was really horrible. His soul was just gross. Anywho, I signed up, of course, parting with $30,000, and very quickly the group that we'd all done it realized the guy had nothing, absolutely nothing. He had no program, he had no philosophy, he had no nothing. So I went to my solicitor and said, hey, here's all the evidence, and I'd printed out my case and I'd given him all the evidence, and he said, yeah, you probably will win. You're going to spend more money to get there. Can I ask you a question? And I went, yeah. He said, is there any chance that you've learned a $30,000 lesson? And it was one of the most powerful questions I'd ever been asked. And in that moment, the world froze. Every cell in my body clicked over to a different thing. It was like, and I went, actually, yeah, I have. And the answer, the answer to that question was, I had already what I needed inside of me. All my work experience, all my training, all my personal development, all my professional development, everything that I'd done up to that point made me ready. And I really just had to believe in myself. And I certainly didn't believe in this guy. And if this guy can go out there and do what he did, I can do it way better than that. And so that started my whole training, coaching, mentoring, facilitating, and consulting career. The rest is essentially history. So I thank that guy so much. It was the best $30,000 ever spent.
Yeah, it is about 10 years ago when I left my full-time job to sort of build my own business. I was already a therapist, but I went into the world of coaching, and it was it is such a bizarre thing where people don't quite understand. This is not a regulated space. And so that story that you're sharing is something that I think I have heard, dozens of times, because it's a very, very common thing that happens where there are a lot of people out there that, and I can always tell instantly, if someone really doesn't know what they're doing, because what they do is they go, okay, this is your problem. I had a somewhat similar, but not really problem. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I did to fix my problem. And then I'm going to apply it to you. And that's what you see a lot of with coaches, or consultants, where it's like, they got one good story. They got one good thing. They got one good strategy, and then they're trying to bank on that and basically shove that into everybody else's, here you go, no matter who they are, what their background is, what they want to do, all of that.
Yeah.
But your story is one I've heard many times, which is it becomes a bit of this very expensive lesson for a lot of people, especially the women that I've met, where it's like you basically learn, oh, wait a second, I don't need someone to tell me I can do this. I can actually do this. And okay, here I go. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I just was glad it wasn't 50,000. I was glad that it wasn't 100,000. And some people that I spoke to have been ripped off, 150, 250, lost their homes. So to me, I just really made sure I got it at that low level, and it never repeated itself after that.
Yeah.
And now in response to it, I add a lot of value to my Done For You program. So it's almost like overgiving, but I don't care. I want to make sure that I'm the opposite end from having nothing, this guy having absolutely nothing, to here's my program. It's value stacked like you wouldn't believe. Almost too good to be true, to be honest. That is this possible that you could actually get all of this inside one program? It's like, yeah, I want this to be the best investment you've ever made in your life. That's my intention.
I never quite understood that with people. I would feel so guilty if I felt like I was taking someone's money and I wasn't giving them what they want. I would feel, I mean, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And I'm with you where it's, and I think that is right. And in some ways, the downside of it is we probably are overgiving. We probably are doing too much, probably. But I'm with you on this. So one of the other things that you talk about is you talk about these 3 inner compasses. Yeah. So there's the mind, the heart, and the gut. So can you tell me a little bit? Can you break down each one and how you help your clients tap into those things?
So for me, I was noticing over my 30-year career of doing this that everyone was saying the same problems. So there's sort of these set psychological issues that people have, you know, the inability to say no, the perfectionism disease. They're saying they're not confident. They're saying they're not very assertive, and, you know, the people pleasing piece. So it just is this pattern. And what I boiled it down to is people are just living in this world of self-doubt. And so when I started to look at doing a TED Talk, with TED Talks, you have to do something a little bit different. You can't just do self-doubt. Doesn't it suck?
Yeah.
And it's like, boring. What I actually thought was, hang on a minute, if we didn't have self-doubt, we'd all be arrogant sons of bitches. Like, how gross would we be? And so I realized that self-doubt actually is an ally, and we've just not taught to use it correctly. And we're not using it as a reflection tool. So what I came up with, well, what do I do to feel the fear and do it anyway? Like, why do I have that philosophy as one of my activities? How do I do it? And I just started to unpack it and realize that you need to have a conversation with your mind, your intellect, and just see what they have to say about it. And they'll be very logical probably and come up with all this stuff. And then come down into your gut. And your gut has this sort of instant response to it, this real emotional, you know, gut-wrenching thing that it wants to tell you. And then when you bring those two together into the heart will come at it from a completely different point of view as to why it's presenting this kind of thing to think about. And it is meant to be thought about, whereas we don't. All we want to do when we feel self-doubt is get rid of it. Yeah. And we might self-medicate to get rid of it. We might lie to ourselves to get rid of it. We might do all sorts of weird things to get rid of it. But I say no. I say sit with it. I say sit with it and ask the 3 people around the table, why are they here? What do they want to tell you? How do you feel I should handle it? And blend those 3 thoughts and 3 points of view together into one wisdom for you right now.
It's interesting when you talk about that, because in the seems to be, everyone thinks the solution to all of their problems is, I'm not going to feel fear anymore. I'm not going to be sad anymore. I'm not going to have any more doubt anymore. Everyone thinks that it's like erase, you know, if I just erase these things. And that's the thing. You're absolutely right about self-doubt is we need just like anxiety and stress, we need a certain amount of it to keep us in check. You know, we have to be able to have a little bit of like, well, let me check with someone first, or let me think about this, or let me not send this email right away. Maybe I don't quite know. And that's a great point that you're making, which is it's not so much about eradicating things or getting rid of things. It's about like, how do I make this work for me? I'm always going to have my doubt. So, you know, how do I make this work and not make myself crazy in the meantime, right? Have some checks and balances of, you know, oh, this is how I check myself to make sure that I'm ready for this, or I'm not, you know, whatever the feeling is. And doubt can be many different things.
Absolutely. We've got to look at it, and people are not looking at it. They're just trying to eradicate.
Exactly.
The body speaks to us in sensations and thoughts and feelings, and, you know, we're not listening. We're just pushing it aside, and it's very detrimental. And you and I in the therapeutic world want people people to come in and look at their stuff. That's why we call it the work.
Yes.
Like, do the work to get self-aware about why this is happening and how come this is going on, because the body's trying to talk to you and you gotta listen. I mean, far out. Otherwise it just escalates and gets louder, and then it punches you in the face and then it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. And then for some people, they just kind of keep getting punched and they will can keep getting punched and punched and punched. And that's the thing, when you hear people talking about doing the work, and I'm sure there are people that are rolling their eyes. It really is. It is. Yes, it sucks to have to look at yourself. Yes, it sucks to have to go, okay, I'm not the victim in this, or what's my part in this, or what do I need to change? Yeah, all of that sucks. But it really is the key to, all these things that people say that they want.
Yeah.
The peace and the sense of self and all of these things. It's like, well, that's how you find it. So I want to go, because I know you work with a lot of people that are feeling stuck at their jobs and feeling lost. So what have you found is the number one thing that makes it really hard for people to change?
The golden handcuffs. So we've been programmed to think we need a job, want a job. We've gone, the society, the way it's structured is to get you into debt so that you're locked and loaded in your golden handcuffs. So, that's what happened to baby boomers. And then that is what really happened to Gen X. So Gen X really loaded up with millions of dollars in debt, which means the more debt you have, the less options you have. And so that's what corporate wants, is for you to be a slave to the system and for you to need it more than it ever will need you. And you notice during this next round, I mean, you and I have seen a number of downturn markets. You see the normal knee-jerk reaction is to get rid of absolutely everybody. And for one job, one person to do 20 people's jobs. And, that's just the way it is, more with less, more with less, more with less, more with less, more with less. And the train keeps going down the bloody tracks until one day we're all going to die of stress. And that's what you're seeing happen. And you're already seeing legislation now. Australia just launched their legislation to say, if you don't put in appropriate measures to keep people well and not harm them, then you are liable for killing them or giving them this disease. And so I've predicted this. I've been saying this for over 20 years now. I knew this was happening. And we're now at the era where we're now going, the families of the people that have died of heart attacks and died of stress-related incidences are now going to sue corporate. Because I remember in my day, I did 2 burnouts before I was 25. I'm Gen X, and I tell you what, that generation is so pissed off because, one, the boomers didn't leave when they were meant to leave because they couldn't afford to leave because they lost their 40% of their super over in two downturns.
Yeah.
So they stayed because they had to stay, which means it stopped Gen X progressing in the normal way they would have progressed. And so you've got a very, very angry generation of X's who have paid their dues, have put themselves into disease, stressed themselves out to the eyeballs, have not been there for their family, but geez, they've got a house and 2 BMWs, yay, well done. And now they're dying. They're dying early. Like, we're meant to live to 120 now, but there's no chance of that. These kids are going to die at 70 because the stress their life has been horrendous. And then the rest of the generations have come up through, looked at that horrendousness through their parents and gone, ew, I don't want to do that. That looks disgusting. Like, they are miserable, they're unhappy, they're anxiety ridden, they're depressed, they're on some sort of medication, and if they're drinking, they're self-medicating. I mean, all the things that these kids are having to watch as they grow up. And then they get into the workforce and say, I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to do it like that. No way. Because it kills you, essentially.
Yeah, I did an episode of this about sort of this quote unquote here in the US, the American dream,
Yeah.
right? This thing that we're sold. And I often say,
Right.
right, of course, the joke is that yeah, there is an American dream, but you have to be a white man and you have to have been born between these eras. And I mean, my grandfather is a great example of it. And yeah, he had the American dream, but he was a white man that was born between this time and this time by this and having these kinds of resources in the family, right? Yes, American dream. So, but that there is this promise of the American dream, and I'm also a Gen Xer, and I've always felt like we were really, we saw our parents, we saw them, we saw how they were out earning their own parents, we saw that there was this. This is how it works, right? People just make more money, right? Isn't this each generation? And so, yeah, we walked into all of this thinking, okay, great. So I'm going to do all the things that you told me to do. I'm going to, get the job and work really hard. And yeah, I look at my life today and I don't, I'm sure I make a hell of a lot more money than my parents did, my husband and I combined, but we certainly don't have the lifestyle that, my parents had. And they're doing a lot of, I love it when they do these comparisons of, right, what it was like for the average boomer and what it was like for the average millennial, and just how, and the craziest thing too is when they did this side by side comparison, even the boomers in the 1980, I want to say 70s or 8, oh, probably be 80s, right? Even then they weren't making enough money. The average household wasn't making enough money. Like they were in the hole about $20-$30. But when they compared it to a millennial who's making what, and the cost of living, it's something like you're already $3,000 in the hole. Like it really, really, it's not even that people can't afford it. It's like you are already in debt. You are already in trouble before you've even started. And I always say that's what Gen Z, this generation who are in the workforce right now, that's what they've been watching. They've been watching all of that. So why in God's name do you think that they're going to want, I mean, that's the part I don't quite understand. And I would love to hear what your perspective is in terms of the clients that you work with about what's their perception of the younger people. Cause I'm just looking at them going, you've got to be kidding me here. Like really stop and think about this for a second. And once people really do wrap their brains around it, they get it. But it seems to be, maybe it's just in this country, it just seems to be very hard for people our age and older to really get why Gen Z feels the way they do.
It will, because it's just not logical. It doesn't make sense, and they've got the evidence to prove it through all those things that you mentioned. Plus, it's not it's not the health industry. It's it's the disease industry. And so you can go at it at a number of different ways. Like when you say, "Oh, you earned more than your parents," not really. One, they only needed or had only one income, and we have two incomes and can't make ends meet. And then you've got kids being told to get out of the house and pay all this rent that's wasted money. What we need to do is sort of rejig the whole system, and it's already rejigging itself, because the kids are not going to work like we worked, like slaves and like dogs, to get through. So when I work with people who are ready for that shift, like they're over it, they're burnt out, they're sick of it, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. The first thing I do is I get them to declutter their life. So decluttering meaning get rid of absolutely anything and everything that is not a necessity, including all the crap in your house that you've accumulated over the years. And just really bring it down to simple things. And that gives them a bit of headspace and a little bit of emotional, there's this sort of sense of release and space. And what we're trying to do is get them to experience what it's like to have inner peace. Then we let's say we look at your finances and go, oh my God, look at all the money you're spending. It's a leaky bucket. There's money going out all over the joint on, plastic from China. Like, just stop right now. No more buying for the sake of buying. Think about everything with intention and leave it for a minute. Like, stop buying, scrolling, because Amazon is built to make you buy. That's a system. That's a program that makes you do something. we've got to get on top of all of this as human beings. Otherwise, we're just not going to survive. There's so many things we could be doing better. And one of the things we need to be thinking about is boomers and Gen Xers need to be thinking about the family home in a different way. And we need to be making it for generational living. And this is why other cultures do much better than white people, because white people go, oh, independent, throw you out at 20, 25, get your own house and begin your own life. No, we should be consolidating, working together as a team. You know, we can be living in, you know, we can be renovating homes so that it's a little bit more privacy and you feel like you're in your own apartment and all that sort of stuff. And your parents have got to grow up and stop telling you what to do and being a mum and dad all the time. Yes, there's some things that need to happen. But essentially what we're doing is we're pissing our own wealth out the door, and we shouldn't. And I think this staying at home because they can't afford to go needs to be the clue that changes everything, and start to build wealth that together, so that when the old people need it, they can stay home and we can afford to get people in to help them. Gen X can continue working, but they don't need to beat themselves so much anymore. They can sort of work on their own business and building their own brand and having a lifestyle of what that looks like, but they've got the safety of their own home. And then the Gen Y come in and then, you know, they do what they want to do, which is get married and probably have bloody children. And so that, you know, you've got people then that can look after that and send them off to all the different little daycare centers and whatnot. You know, there just can be a better way of doing it. Now, that's not for everyone, because not all parents would you want to spend 5 minutes with. But if we took the 80-20 rule, 80% of people should love and want to be with their parents. And what if we could negotiate a different financial plan? That's kind of where my brain's thinking at the moment. I'm thinking we could do this a lot better. And then we can say, right, work. Do we really need to work for 50 years to get 11 years in retirement? And I don't even believe in retirement. What if we did what we love to do and it didn't feel like work, not like slavery work, golden handcuff work? So I'd like to sort of relook at the way we do work as well, and sort of think about it very differently for our body, mind, and soul.
Yeah. Well, you bring up something very interesting, and it's something that I also recommend to clients where, especially people that are overwhelmed, which is, you know, instead of giving them all this homework or things to do, or read this, do this. I love that of, okay, what can you get rid of? And that's usually with people that are very stressed out and executives. I will just, you know, what is one meeting, one thing, what can you start getting off your plate so that you can start parsing things out? And it's interesting because there's definitely like this theme of what you're talking about, which is, you know, it's not so much that you don't want to create commitments or buy things, but it's almost a little bit of, you know, when we buy things, we really have to think about what the sacrifice is to purchase this thing. And I've seen this a lot over the years with people, and I'm always amazed where people really make these conscious choices. Like I'm an artist. I want to work a part-time job and it pays me this much, but you know, I don't ever get a new car. I don't get new things over here. And for them, that trade-off is a really good one. And I think what's hard is when we start in the working world. Exactly. You said this in the beginning of the interview where it's like, I didn't know what I liked yet. I had to, you know, and then 20, I figured it out, 25, you know what I mean? And so that's the hardest part, I think, about when you start, when you're starting out in, you know, working in any industry, which is you have to figure out what you like, what you don't like, where you fit in, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And that takes some time. And at the same time, you also have to be working on, and this is the part that's hard, is you also have to be working on, like, how do I set myself up for success later on? How do I not get the BMW? How do I not? Because if you ask me at 20, like what car I would be driving at this age, I would tell you BMW or something like that. And then you get to be this age and you're like, I don't want to spend $1,200 a month on a car payment. You know, now it's like, oh my God, we got rid of a car payment. Great. Never going to get awesome.
Yeah,
you know, one less thing.
Cool. And debt's not cool to the younger generation. And that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing. They're not, as materialistic as the past,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing. And I think what we're seeing from the young ones is creativity and thinking outside the square, and thinking outside
Yeah.
the box. They're really looking at work very, very, very differently. And I love that, and I want to encourage that. But other people, I'm looking at some women who just have not earned their stripes at all, and they're getting to 40 and 50 and going, oh, what am I good for? What can I
Mm.
offer? And I'm like, whoa, how have you not worked? Like, how have you not built any skills here? This is just horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's because they just gave up at some point and never learned how to think about your career as a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and also that your career is for you. Your career is about you and your path and what you want to learn and what you want to build and what you want to do, not the company. Because people tend to think about, well, the company says that if I do this here, I'll get this promotion and this promotion. It's like, okay, good for them, but none of that's guaranteed. Like, what do you want? So,
Yeah.
and that's very much about what your because I saw that you have a number of programs, but your program Becoming the Expert, it's really about like, figuring out who am I, what is my brand. And so what, for someone who's listening, who has no idea, what their expertise is yet, what's the first step?
It's actually my zone of genius. So I love that
Mm-hmm.
bit. That's the bit where I've honed my muscle there and I'm really strong in that particular area. So when people come and have like this free discovery session with me, within 15 minutes, I've unpacked their career, where they've been, where the gold nuggets are. I've looked at all the breadcrumbs, all the stories, and I get them to tell me that really quickly. And then within 15 minutes, I can sort of tell what their medicine that they should place on the altar of humanity. I like
Mm-hmm.
to call it, and that's where they're presenting back to the world what it is
Mm-hmm.
that they can offer, where their value lies, and it's often in your trauma, it's often in your story, it's often in that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, for corporate executives, it's what has been their pet peeves their entire lives. What have they
Mm-hmm.
been yelling about over red wine to a group of
Mm-hmm.
people? That's usually it. It's where the pain is, where the angst is. It's because that's your philosophy. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
fix that. And so I'll show them that there's $1 million model sitting in there based on that. And the 7 streams of income that come with that is, we'll do a book, we'll do a talk, we'll then, create a brand, we'll put a website together with all your socials. We do all the ecosystem and create the ecosystem for you so that you
Mm-hmm.
can sell your signature program. And your signature program is your training, coaching, mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
facilitating, and consulting. So when you add all that up, that's 7 streams of income that we put together as an ecosystem for your personal brand. And that is unique. There's nothing else like that anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say I have not, because here usually there's two different. There's the people that deal with the thoughtful, who are you, what do you want, what's it all about kind of part, and then you have to hire. Once you figure that out, then you got to find someone else who's then going to help you put it all together and put it. So it sounds like this is one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
Like, sit
Yeah.
down, I'm going to help you build everything.
Absolutely. What I discovered was that people were wasting 5 years trying to work it out themselves and buy this and buy that. And they were ending up
Mm,
spending about $75,000 and not putting it together.
mm,
And so that drove me crazy. And I was like, no, you need an end-to-end solution, because when you're leaving corporate, you don't know what you don't know. You haven't got the entrepreneurial spirit. You may have an intrapreneurial spirit, and that's what I'm
mm,
looking for when I work with somebody. That high-performing, self-managing person that could just fix everything. They're the people I'm looking for. They're the ones that I can turn into a superstar in their
mm,
particular field of excellence. And so anyone can do it, but most people will never be able to face their own stuff. And so
mm,
I need to identify that really early on. Who will do the work,
mm-hmm.
who will come along for the ride as I put it all together, and who won't. And so I'm listening for some very specific things in that free discovery session to determine whether I even want to go there or not.
Yeah.
And quite often people just don't have the chutzpah, the get up and go, the resilience, the ability to just feel the fear and do it anyway, because the fear
Mm-hmm.
never goes away. Just when we get to the next level, there's a new different type of fear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so this just keeps going on and on and on. So you've got to be able to fight through that and
Mm-hmm.
stick with that. And I make it easy. Yes, I do it for you. I create all that to get you out into the market within 90 days. And then the rest of the 12-month program, I'm holding your hand while you actually do it. And we're debriefing and we're improving and continuously improving until the end of the 12 months is over and you
Mm-hmm.
pretty much stand alone as an independent person and you've got my 30 years of experience in your head. In your head, you know exactly how to think strategically about
Mm-hmm.
deals, and you know you can smell an opportunity from over there, and it's just I have a lot to share, and I can't wait to share it with people, and I still love doing it after 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. And it's interesting. So this is like it's a full year and you have someone who is, I love that, holding your hand throughout the entire process. And that's the thing. I think our society and our world, and especially here in the US, we've really, I don't know. I don't know if it's like we've bastardized being an entrepreneur, but I think we've really kind of moved away from what does that mean? Like a lot of people like to slap the label entrepreneur, and a lot of people think that the solution to their problems is, oh, I need to start my own business.
Mhm.
I see that a lot with clients that come to me and I'm like, I don't think but to have your own business, to be your own boss and to do this, there are some trade-offs, and you have to be willing to put up with the trade-offs. And I think that's the other part of it too. I'm sure that's the exploration that you're doing with people too, is a little bit of, do you even want to do this? Like, it might sound good in theory, but do you, are you okay with the fact that you kind of don't know what you're going to earn next month? You have an idea generally, but you never know what's going to happen.
No. And look, I've got a 100-question quiz to determine
Mm.
whether you're actually suitable for working for yourself or not.
Oh, wow.
That's a little bit of a fun thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is that um, people are searching for the silver bullet, and they're just searching for silver bullets, and those people are not who I work with. What we're
Mm.
putting together here is when you die, the brand dies with you.
Mm.
So this is what we call, it's not a business, it's a practice. It needs you because you are the product.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a different way of thinking. Yes, we've got some leverageable business products that we can sell, which is your online program and your books and all of that sort of stuff, but that's not really where we hang our hats. What we do is we actually want to help people,
Mm-hmm.
like actually. Most entrepreneurship now is where we want to build something so we never have to touch you
Yeah.
or actually talk to you.
Yes.
That
Yes.
we can put you in a Facebook group where the group coaches you. That's ideal. We don't
Mm-hmm.
want to actually touch you because you know what? We're too busy on our yacht having champagne. We don't actually want to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I disagree with that, and I hate that about our industry. What I want to do is I've got nowhere to hide. I am with you in an unlimited coaching capacity for 12 months. I'm going to build you all your assets. You can point at those and see that you've got them. I even
Mm-hmm.
have a checklist that you can tick and say, we've done that, we've done that, we've done that. And in the order it's sort of got to come. And
Mm-hmm.
so I hate that nobody wants to actually coach anybody anymore. Nobody actually really wants to train anybody anymore. They just want to build an online program and learn how to market really well to sell
Yeah.
loads of that thing so that I don't actually ever have to talk to you and that the product sells itself.
Yeah, and then what happens is we see a lot of this too, which is back to the sort of the scammers and all of that, which is there are a lot of people out there that are selling a lot of something, but
Yeah.
people aren't returning. people aren't coming back. They don't feel like they got their needs met. And because whatever you sold was, no one sued you. Everyone's kind of felt like, okay, that was enough. I'll just move on with my life. But yeah, that was definitely 10 years ago, back in like, when did I start? Like 2015. That was such the mentality of the coaching world. It was all about like, quote unquote passive income, which is not really a thing. And this way of it was this weird juxtaposition of either I'm going to teach you how to work for 4 hours a week and you're going to make millions, or you've got to hustle, hustle, hustle and sleep on your office floor. There was like this no in between. And it is, I think one of the biggest changes that I've seen in how everyone's relating to entrepreneurship and just all the opportunities that we have now with technology, with social media, because it is, the world of business is different. There's less gatekeepers. So that, all of these things are wonderful, but that you want to do these things. This thing is hard to build your own business, to build your own brand, however you want to call it, that takes time and effort, and that it can't be passive, right? Like that, because if it's you selling your ideas, well, then what is that then? Yeah. But it's just so interesting. I love the way you phrase that, because I hadn't really thought about it that way before of, oh yeah, that's right. People are really building things to basically, they coach and they want to work with people, but you're building something where you don't ever have to deal with people.
Yeah. About 75% of online programs are never opened.
Yes,
and
that one I've heard.
Those that actually open it, 95% of them don't complete. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of purchasing going on, but not a lot of doing, because most people don't learn that way. Most people, let's say 40% of people are kinesthetic learners, which means they love that interaction, that touch and feel, that energetic exchange. So 40% of the market, I will always own that. I'm not interested in people that just want to do an online program and just, be left alone to do their own thing, because the thing about that is they've still got their current brain, and their current brain has flawed thinking in it. The whole point of a mentor is to come in and rewire the brain and rewire the mindset and rewire the way you think about things. And that is a transformation, not keeping them in their flawed thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I could keep talking. I have more questions, but I'm going to respect your time. Tell everyone how they can find you. Where it sounds like you have books, you have a TED Talk. So share whatever you'd like to share. How should people find you?
The best way is just to go to the website, becomingtheexpert.com.au, and just download the free checklist, book in for a free discovery session, and just have an hour with me. That's an hour of my life I'll never get back. So I promise you I will have fun, and I will do my genius, and I will give you some clarity so you can really walk away with absolute clarity as to what your personal brand would look like. And whether we work together or not, at least you've got clarity. That's the main thing. So that's what I love to do, and that's a bit of fun, and you've got to be able to receive with grace. We're here. People like Tess and I are here to serve. We're here to help humanity, transform to their next level. And how we do that is by, building a relationship with you, an actual real relationship with you.
Yes.
I know, shock horror.
I know.
Yeah, so, take me up on the offer. Do feel that you are worthy to receive, and you never know, miracles could happen in that session. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, I think that 100 question quiz, that sounds like, can you right? Do you have the attention span to get through it? That's a good one, right?
Oh, isn't that an interesting response? People can't do 100 questions anymore.
Yeah.
See, we've timed it. My clients did it the other day because they went, oh my God, it's not 10 minutes. And so, but hang on, we're talking about you as the person. You should be interested in yourself. So to me, if it takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do, that's 30 minutes of clarity that you'll get. So to me, it's worth the investment of time.
Yeah.
And it scares me how much people don't want to do things that take a few minutes.
Yes. And
Flawed thinking. It really is. Like really
yes.
good things you should want to do. You should want to learn about yourself and unpack yourself and get self-aware, so that you could do something about it. So, yeah, I don't apologize for the 100 questions. And I give space for them to do it in one of my courses. And so, and
Mhm.
then we unpack it and we show them all their points for 10 different things. It turns out that there's
Yeah.
10 different things that will make you a success or not.
Okay. Very interesting. Well, thank
Yes.
you so much for being here. This has been such an interesting conversation. And thank you, everyone, for listening to the Gen Mess with Tess. Remember, we're not just fixing the mess, we're learning how to live in it.